I have a very captive audience over here of two of us. I am Nanette from First Choice Restoration and One Tom Plumbing. And this is Laren. And we wanted to just come and introduce ourselves and introduce our company. I know that some of you have used us in the past, personally and for your clients. And just wanted to build a little bit of a relationship and see how we can serve you guys a little bit better. So first of all, I am the business development manager. So I think I was saying this earlier, I think I have the best job in the company. I get to go talk to people all day long. I go to different businesses. I go to different events and just learn about our community, who's working in our community, what the needs are, and how we can fill that gap. And to get the phones to ring, obviously, we're all in sales. So when the phones ring,
I have the worst and best job in the company.
She has the worst job in the company.
I get to deal with unhappy homeowners, bad insurance people.
Yeah, that's the therapist side.
Yeah, I was just gonna say her official title is estimator, but she is our therapist. I often send her memes.
Makes sense.
How she is that person in our office. She is probably the equivalent of Kelly. She gets all the shit, for a lack of a better word, and how to disperse it, and does it with a lot of grace. But she works, like she said, with our clients. She would work with you. She negotiates with insurance companies, and she is proficient in Matterport. I know you guys are familiar with Matterport from Neatly and from other services that use it. And then she uses Xactimate, which is in a nutshell, a program that we send it over to do large estimates. So if you had somebody that had a flood, if you had a listing that, God forbid this winter, knock on wood, had a flood and you needed to have it repaired quickly, she would be the person that would do that for you. She works for First Choice, and I work for One Tom Plumbing and First Choice Restoration. We are owned by the same owner, but we are separate companies. So I'm going to talk about both and how we work together. So first off, First Choice Restoration is a mitigation and a restoration company. So we do both the mitigation, we stop the bleeding, and then we fix it. So you can do either or both with us. We work private pay and we do insurance work. So that is where Laren comes in. She does a lot of that. We have a project manager, Kanan, who a lot of you are familiar with. Kanan used to be a real estate agent here locally. And he is our project manager. He goes out and does the initial, she comes in, and I just smile and wave a lot and bring cookies at the end of the job.
That is good.
I have the best job.
Yeah.
So things that you could use us for, if you see mold on an inspection, if you have an immediate need. I bring up that Kanan was a agent and that I used to be a lender because we get the sense of urgency in some of these matters that need to be handled right away because you're under a timeline. So we will not always be the cheapest repair, but we're going to do whatever we can to save the deal for you guys because we understand that Laren's bought a couple homes and had some refinances and has all that kind of, so she gets it also. We get the sense of urgency that is needed in that. So we're general contractors. So anything that a general contractor could do, we can do for you. We're emergency services. So if you call us, we're going to assume that you need us right away. We're going to assume that you need us within 1 to 3 business days. Hi. Somebody is talking. And as far as things that you can use us for right now, on the back of, I have some packets here for you guys, but on the back of it, you guys can't see it, but it is a free listing special for carpet cleaning. Because we do use the water extractor for our mitigations, we also use that for carpet cleaning. So we wanted to extend that to you guys. So it's 18 cents for a vacant square foot for a vacant property. So if you have a property that has no furniture or minimal, like it's really light staging, nobody living in it, that would be the 18 cents. If you have one that is it's occupied, it would be 25 cents. And then there's some qualifiers on there. This is for you guys. Personally, for your clients, you can give it away. You can tell people this is just, we want to offer this to you guys. And it could be something that you add into your package, your clothing package. You could say, hey, this company will do this for you at this rate based on our relationship. So wanted to offer that for you guys. Mold abatement, flood, fire, content cleaning, that kind of thing for First Choice. And for One Tom Plumber, we are also an emergency company. So both of them work together in, if you had a fire or a flood, we would come do the plumbing for you if you request us. You do have to request us. We don't just automatically come. But we are a dispatch type plumbing. So if you call the 800 number, One Tom Plumber, the name is the number. You put in your zip code of where you're at, and we are in Leavenworth, Quincy, Chelan, Kashmir, Wenatchee right now. Put in the zip code and you will get a live person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. Both companies, if you call us, you will get a live person all day, every day. That's one thing that you can rely on that makes us different than any other company is we will, number one, answer our phone. Number two, we'll be there 24 hours a day. So if you request a plumber at 1 a.m., we're going to come out. If you request you found mold and you want it taken care of at 4 a.m., we will come at 4 a.m. That's what we do. That's something that really sets us apart in the community, is that we serve quickly. So that's a very short nutshell of what we do. Keeping in mind that we do all the plumbing, they do all the mitigation and repairs, but we work together. Oftentimes they're on a job and they will call us and say, hey, we have a plumbing need. Can you come right now? The value of that is that we don't have to wait for 3 to 5, 2 weeks, whatever, to get the plumber out there. We come right away.
Yeah, that's great.
That's our nutshell. I have some packets here for you. I have some, do you have a pink plunger?
Yes.
I have a really cute pink plunger.
Plunger.
Pink plunger.
I
So
love
if
it.
anybody wants a pink plunger, we have pink plungers. Our vans are fully loaded, so they're prepared when they go out to the job to do it right then. So if we come out to do an estimate for you at a home, we will assume, we're going to make the assumption that we're going to do it for you right then. You don't have to have us do it right then, but we will be prepared, if at all possible, to do it right then. So that is my 2 elevator speeches in one.
And then if you have, if you want to email me this, then I can attach it to the Zoom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any materials.
I will email it, and these are our contacts. So we have 2 different contacts. My number, you can call me directly, but you would call first choice for any restoration and mitigation items and carpet cleaning. And then plumbing, there's a dispatch, but you can also call me on my cell phone on any of those and we'll get you to the right people.
And then I will leave my cards here in the office as well that have my direct line on them so that you can just call me directly if you guys have carpet cleaning that needs to be scheduled or need to mitigate right away.
Yeah. If you guys are at a home inspection and you see something and you take some pictures of it, you could text those or email those to Laren quickly, and she could give you a place to start. Like, this is going to be a big project, or this is a quick fix. If you really honestly just want a price to negotiate, just tell her right up front.
Yeah.
Just be like, we'll do it right there for you. She'll do it as quick as she can. If you want a written estimate, there's more that needs to go into that, but we'd love to help you guys save any of those deals and to move things along as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
It was good to see you in person, in almost person, Marcia.
Yes. Hybrid person. Yeah. I like your tattoo, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I want all the tattoos.
Cool.
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, yeah, here, there you go.
Do you have any questions?
I'm done. Yeah, nobody was like, everyone was muted, so.
Any question, anything? Yeah, I think half our people are at work and doing the little hybrid stuff.
Working and doing.
No?
We hope that's what they're doing if they're not showing.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's very important to
We can all.
who produces.
Yes.
who shows up.
Okay, and
I mean,
give me 1 minute and then we'll
I
see.
you know that. I know that, right?
Michael. Michael, did you want to say some things?
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, let me turn on my little TV real quick so me and Kelly can
So
see
we can
you.
see, so you and I can see you.
There we
Come
go.
on, my dude.
Oh, we're gonna watch a movie. Oh, watch a movie.
Yeah, I am signed into my Netflix here. I think we can. So, yeah.
So if I get bored, I can just come in and turn the
We
TV
can
on.
have a movie night, that's for sure.
Oh.
Okay. Well, if you want to, if you guys want to hear some lending stuff, get
Oh,
back
yeah.
into, yeah, so, okay,
I'll just keep it short.
okay.
What's up? Just today, tomorrow, the Fed is meeting for their monthly review. So keep an eye on that. The if the Fed drops it a quarter, I think rates will probably be relatively stable. If they drop their Fed funds rate by 0.5, I think we could see a little more volatility in the market. And we could see that either way. The market could react positively and we could see rates improve significantly, or they could also affect them negatively, and we could see rates increase on the short term. But over the long term, over the next few months, I think we're going to continue to see rates decrease. So either way, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But for short term, I think there could be some volatility in the market, just depending on what they decide tomorrow. But that's all I've really got. Just keep an eye out. That can make a big. This represents the first time the Fed is actually pivoting on their decisions and they're actually lowering rates now. So this could be the start of something pretty cool for the market. And in my opinion, I think it's gonna. I mean, who knows? At the end of the day, this could end up causing more harm than good, because if rates come down, prices are going to continue to shoot up, and then people are thinking, gonna really light a fire under inflation if they start lowering them right now as well. So in a couple years from now, we could see even worse inflation. But for the short term, it could be good for rates and people buying. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's all emotional. It's all just emotional reactions.
I'm curious if the banks are gonna tighten up their lending requirements as the rates come down. Are the banks gonna get tighter on who they lend to?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that's everything. Guidelines are staying pretty much the same. I think the biggest thing we're going to see is if rates start to drop into the fives regularly, you can lock into the fives now, absolutely. But if it drops into the fives, I think we're going to see prices run up even higher. But what I also think could happen is there's a lot of people that want to move up in house or move. They're just stuck where they're at because they have this great rate. They're at 2.75. They're like, why would I triple my payment or double my payment when I can stay here? With rates coming down, I think there could be an opportunity for that to unlock some inventory as well. People getting okay with maybe going from a 3% to a 5%, not 3 to 8 or 7. So that gap is a little bit closer. So I think that could maybe happen as well. But at the end of the day, anybody that actually thinks or that actually says they know what's going to happen is BSing, because we all have no. I mean, we can look at the data and say, yeah, this is probably where it's going to trend, and it will most likely trend downward on rates. But for the short term, you could see some volatility, and for the long term, as far as housing prices and where rates will end up, I mean, nobody really knows at the end of the day. Because we're kind of in uncharted waters. COVID really did a number as far as locking a lot of people in, but it'll be interesting. So if you're looking to buy a house right now, it's probably a good time.
No, but I am looking to lock in my mortgage rate on my building, so I'll take the 5%. Yeah.
5% ain't bad.
Maybe more new.
Oh, not at all. I would love, yeah, that'd be great. That would help a lot of.
Yeah, I'm chilling at that 2.75.
Seriously.
So
I got one of that.
because I was like, okay, we'll have that be a rental and then we'll buy like the house we want, have a Rambler. But I was thinking of it yesterday, and this is so stupid. It's so dumb. Because this is the time of year where spiders want to just get into your house.
Yep.
But I'm a 2-story, so they're all chilling downstairs. Like my bedroom's safe.
I'm not going to a Rambler.
I want a Rambler because it's the dumbest thing. I understand it's dumb.
I'm of an age that a Rambler is very appealing.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Doing stairs no more.
No, and my husband's like, stairs are good for us. I'm like,
I'm 67, I ain't doing stairs. no
yeah,
more.
no, 100%. So anyways,
I want a low rate, so.
yeah, yeah, it's all stupid reasons. And I'm fully understanding of it. So anyways,
That info, that's encouraging.
well,
Yeah,
thanks,
that's
man.
the time. The other thing you'll see higher yield savings accounts go down if rates
I know,
start to
I'm
go
really
down.
bad.
So that 4.5% that you're getting paid very well could be 2-3% again. So that cash sitting there is
Throw it into a house.
best time to buy real estate is in the winter. I mean, I think December is noted as the best month to buy real estate because it's the slowest, so you get the best deals.
Mhm.
Maybe you should buy your Rambler then.
Yeah, but the spiders, that's when, that's why there's so many spiders.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's all I got. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. Always good to see you.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Nina.
Thanks so much.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. So okay, so Marcia, I'll have you unmute and I can pull up what you had given me. So give me just a moment.
We'll start out with Form 1A,
Okay, let me share my screen.
Item 5.
Let's see. So 1A, item 5, the list date.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Let me
I,
make
oh, go ahead.
a little bigger. Okay.
Now I took my earbuds out. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, this is great.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Yesenia or anybody online can't hear very well. Just put it in the chat, but I think we're good.
Okay, good. Well, the reason that I was helping Lois yesterday with a property, and it's 7.5 acres, and she wanted to do a letter of understanding.
Authorization.
Authorization, thank you. She kept saying that, so now that's in my brain. So there's something when I was reviewing it for her over the weekend, I don't know when this happened, but you remember that I always thought that the list date, you had 30 days. Well, this new revision, they've changed it, and I don't remember them saying anything about it. But if you look at this, it says a list date, which date shall not be more than 90 days from the effective date, and that's the date that you sign.
Mhm.
And what this does is, if you, a couple of brokers that I've talked to have had some really weird situations. One of them, a relative was selling a house that a relative was living in, a nephew or somebody, and he was a hoarder. And so it was just a teeny tiny trail from one room to the other. And at the time, it was 30 days. And so this would be perfect because you could get them under contract and you could be working with them, helping them, hooking them up to the people that could come in and help. And I believe that the amount of money that they made from people coming in and buying stuff and cleaning it out and just giving them a price for it was significant enough to go in then. And then they did a deep cleaning and they ended up tearing up carpets and things like that. There was some minor leaks that needed to be fixed. So our Annette's company would have been perfect to be able to come in and take a look at that and estimate and get that, get that all going. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it has changed from 30 days to 90 days. So for a lot of the letter of authorization, then that on just like a home, that really takes a lot of the pressure off. So you have plenty of time to be able to do that list in preparation for it. But at the same time, be under contract so that you're consulting, you're advising and things like that, that you've secured that listing.
Can I clarify, real quick, just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly? Because I was thinking with the letter of authorization, that was mainly just used for like developments and like new construction sort of stuff, like projects.
It is. And in talking with the Northwest MLS, there are certain times when you can use a letter of authorization. um, to give them time to just to put a plan together. But
For
now, but
house.
now with this, with 90 days, this really takes it and changes it so that it's purely that we can use it for developers or people that want to, the time when you survey, or if you've got boundary line adjustments, or any of the, if you're doing a short plat, or if you're doing whatever you're doing, Yacindy used it on, I believe they had 5 or 6 buildings, and each one had 4 units, and they went under a letter of authorization. They went and signed that so that Russ could work with them until they got 1 or 2 units available. And it's basically an agreement that says they're going to list this property. Now, sometimes when you do a letter of understanding, you may have somebody that comes along, and if you market it wide and you have a developer that comes in and says, I just want to buy the whole thing, then you cancel that letter of authorization and you enter into a like a seller, a non-listed sale. So you would have your agreement with your seller and agreement with the buyer, depending on the situation.
Cause I
Um,
noticed that, yeah, when we do it, it shows up on like the Market Watch or the hot sheet, like it'll just say LTR. So it's
Right.
almost like agents are able to see that. And my understanding is like, we as the agent, like a developer can market it however, but we can't really
exactly.
do that, but that opens it up to where it's like agents could see it as like the ability to do an off-market deal or put in like a reservation.
Yeah. Go to form number 2. The great thing about this form, we used it extensively in a situation where we weren't ready to market, but we were able to get reservation agreements. And so this letter of authorization is kind of like an interim. And Russ worked this all out with a Northwest MLS and said, he said, I've never done this. And they said, let's work through this together so that it gives all of the brokers equal opportunity. And so during that time with the letter of authorization, we had barbecues, and we had at the time it was before the marina was even built, and so we'd be down there on this dusty piece of dirt in the middle of summer having a barbecue, and we signed up people and they got to choose uh, their slip, and then they put like a $5,000 totally refundable deposit down. And then when we got to the point where we converted it to a contract, then and the whole program, they could start listing all of them. Then we did the jockeying around where the reservation turned into a purchase and sale agreement, and we had the listing go up and it went active, and then it went pending, and we went around, and this was a suggestion from the Northwest MLS. We went around to all of the brokers here in town, and we offered to give them, this is what's coming up and this is how we're going to sell it. And I will have to tell you that out of the first 100 sales, there were 167 slips. We had let's see, there were over 100 that we had contracts on, and there were, other than the owner sales where they had their friends and family buy a slip, other than that there were only 2 other contracts outside of our company, because people just didn't think they could sell that. So when Russ went to Yacindy, no, did I say that right? to you, Cindy, then this is the process they went through. They got the letter of authorization, and he made the mistake of putting it up on his Facebook and then somebody reported him. Russ went to the Northwest MLS and mea culpa'd all over himself, and they helped him work through that. Now, if there is a developer and they have a website, they can market it, but we cannot.
So I'm confused on, in the past with the marina, like how was he able to go to real estate offices before they were listed? Why is that allowed, but putting it on Facebook isn't allowed?
Because the Northwest MLS, the main thing that they're interested in is that all brokers have an equal opportunity. And so
We
we
can't
educate,
advertise it to the public, but.
that's correct. Yes. And it was just right before we started to go public.
Mhm.
And they Russ worked very closely with them. Now, for many of us, we don't think of the Northwest MLS as a resource, but they are a fabulous resource. I use them all the time. They can quickly clarify their rules and to keep us, to help us to keep out of trouble.
Mhm.
And this letter of the authorization has very little information. You see, the dot up here indicates required information. So it basically, it's a county, your office, your lag number. You see how little area of these are even necessary, but you want to fill it out as much as you possibly can. And there will be some form of a tax parcel number, because if they're taking a large parcel, like 7.5 acres, and they're going to make it into 7 1-acre lots, then you use the mother, the parent parcel. And then it is just you go through and fill out the seller's name and the brokerage and the project name if it has it. And then you have, if there's the area, the community, the specific address to get their city, all of that. And when we are able to list it, then there will be internet advertising and there will be able to show it to the public. You fill out, if you know it, you fill out this information. If you don't, but they do require an approximate listing date. And that's something that you can work with and you can change that. As you get close to a listing date, then you can fill out your listing contract, your Form 1A, and then how long do they think this project will be? And those two dates, they work with you. You do need a builder's name, or like this one was the name of their farm. And then what is the approximate end of their lots that they're going to end up with. Now, when you first sign this, you may not know. If you go down here and look at the sales price, Yacinda did not know what they were going to list. They had kind of a price range about the 750 to 850,000. And very soon they saw that it went into the millions, and especially the really preferred into a million range. And some of them are more expensive because, like the top one, that's like the top apartment. I've lost that word. Anyways, so that's all going to be worked out. Reservations, only if there is a plat approval. And so we were able to get reservations because they were in the process of platting that all out for the marina. And of course, they were they were at Yosemite, they were taking it from condos and they were condominiumizing them so that then each condo will get its new tax parcel number. But at the time, so you fill out the information, and then let's say that the preliminary approval, you get it. So then you can get your reservation agreements. Here is the legal description. It can be as small as what is on the county assessor for that tax parcel number, but it's just something to say where this is going to be. When I have filled this out, I have never filled out the marketing remarks, the broker remarks, because this is just a form to allow you time to work with that builder to be able to get everything ready so that you are ready, up and running when they start to list and release these. Any questions on this letter of authorization?
No, it makes sense to me, and I would just say if, because me and Jessica have one that just went up. And with the reservation agreements, I know there's the reservation agreement form in the MLS, but there is that one that Russ had to have drafted by an attorney in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something that can be, if somebody's in that situation, I'd say talk to you and Russ, and then we could alter that draft to make it work and then have you guys look at it before it goes into place.
Yes.
So.
And there's one last piece, the transition. Before you list it, what you're going to be assigned is a MLS listing number, and that's why it comes up LTR. It's just a letter of LTA, or maybe it is LTR. Is it whatever it is?
Oh, whatever. LTRA, I think.
So if your listing agreement is canceled or changed, you have to notify Northwest MLS, and you do that on a Form 19. And because you're given a MLS number, then you can put that up there, and let's say you're just going to cancel this letter of authorization. And what I do with them, with anything like this, I call the Northwest MLS, and I would, this is what I'd say. Okay, so I have this listing number and it's related to a letter of authorization. We're now ready to cancel that and go into listings. So what I'd like to do is have a Form 19, mail it into you, and then let Northwest MLS actually cancel that listing number
So I'm
out.
confused now in that, because like, let's say you have a development, it's like 6 houses. And they're all not gonna be done at the same time. They're tapered out to where it's 2-3 weeks. So how do I have one letter of authorization for all of those? And then if you can't, it's like there's not ones that are gonna be listed yet.
So when you start and you are doing your first listing, then you need to contact Northwest MLS and you need to ask them, do you and then before you cancel the letter of authorization, you get a listing agreement for that particular listing. And
So the
then
letter of authorization needs to stay in place for the ones that aren't gonna be.
that's yes. And if it is like 90 days, if they're going to come up every 2 or 3 weeks and that works through 90 days, then you can go ahead in advance and you can do listing agreements on the ones that aren't quite ready, get them all ready. They're up there, and then all you have to do is have them go live.
But then you can't do the reservation agreements, right? Because that kind of takes away that ability to.
That is correct.
So that
So, yeah. So what I'm saying to you, Ashley, is I would call Northwest MLS and I would, when you're starting, and ask them, do you want that Form 19 at the very end when you do your last listing?
Mhm.
Or do you want it at the beginning? Or do we need to list out and have notification that tax parcel number ending in 001, 002, 003, those are removed from the letter of authorization, those are canceled, and that goes into an active listing.
Okay.
So I would just say work very closely with them, because we don't do this enough to
Mhm.
where we're experts at it, and they're a wonderful resource.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right, any questions on that? Good questions, Ashley.
Yeah.
All right.
Which one of these do you?
So
think-
do the 01 HL, which is for the hotline questions. And I just want to briefly go through these because August 15th, we had the big thing about the buyer's brokerage service agreement and notification on your listings where that makes sure that they understand they have an option, and you get a updated listing agreement. So I just monitor these, and then any that I think are a little bit of a clearer clarification, then I just want to pull these up. And for any of you, hotline at the Washington Realtors site is wonderful. They have by you can go in there, and I didn't do this. I should have done this by a letter of authorization or Form 2. They have them listed by the forms or by the names. And I didn't check that out, but I will, to make sure there's nothing pertinent that I missed. But on this particular one, this is a firm that has the two different MLSs. They have one that is Northwest MLS, which is it is not owned by an NAR association or by the NAR, but these people have, like we used to have with NCWAR. And so their question is, we're members of the Northwest MLS and also our MLS. Before showing a home, we know the state law requires us to obtain a services agreement as soon as reasonably practical. However, NAR rule is before showing the home. If the Northwest MLS is our primary and the state law trumps NAR rules, are we okay to follow the state law when showing in a non-R, not, a NAR MLS? So the answer, Washington law actually requires a broker to enter a services agreement with a client before providing RE brokerage services. And if that's not possible, then as soon as reasonably practical after beginning to provide broker services. As a realtor, broker is required to comply with all NAR rules, regardless of the broker's MLS affiliation. Putting state law and the NAR requirement together, broker must enter a services agreement with a buyer before touring a home with a buyer. And remember, we can even do that one that is non-exclusive if they feel real uncomfortable with this. And remember, if you are a listing broker and a buyer is there and wants to see a home, and you set up a showing, you are covered because you have a services agreement with the seller. However, the moment they start talking buying, then you should have a services agreement and explain when you first see them the brokerage services agreement or arrangement, and then have them sign one, even if it's just for one day or if it's just a non-exclusive one, to be able to get that started. if you are seeing it and they like you and you say, do you have a broker? And then you explain the limited dual agency and you ask, would you like for me to be your broker and represent you and explain how you can do that? Then they should be ready to go right into a normal services agreement. Okay? Any questions on that? It's very clear. I don't know, anyways. So number 2, this is where we're filling in the compensation.
I've seen that, a lot of people not doing that.
Yes.
Which is really unfortunate because it's a very simple thing that we've gone over a bit.
And yes, and I have a broker and I am not going to name who it is, but when they submitted an offer and it wasn't filled out, I said, you really need to fill that out. Well, she submitted a revised offer and she still didn't have it in there. And so then I said, if you don't want to get paid, leave 17B blank. And I was very blunt about it. And they called up and they said, oh, I'm sorry, I just missed it, blah, blah, blah. It is really important because legally, the seller does not have to pay you. And when you get that as a seller's broker, then calling up the other broker and say, oh, by the way, if you don't want the seller to pay you, then don't fill that out. Is that harming your seller? I mean, they might not have to, for somebody that's stupid or, pardon me, not thorough. So anyways, so if I want to know who needs to fill out line 17A and 17B in Form 21. If the buyer broker has asked the seller and knows what they're offering, then you put that amount in 17A, 17B should be the amount the broker wants to be paid. Can you let me know if this is correct? So that is correct. 17A is what's in the listing and we're in the MLS that it shows it. So that really makes it nice. We don't have to make the call. And if we're a listing broker, we don't get a dozen calls. Well, what's your compensation? So I'm really glad that we don't have to deal with that. So when you put in that amount, if working with your buyer, that is the same as what is in your services agreement with them, then you put the same amount. If what they're offering, let's say they're offering 2%, but you want 3%, and because there's a lot of work that's going to go in this for them to develop out the property or understand the whatever, that's your fee. Then you can put the 3% there because that's a form of negotiation. It doesn't mean that's what your seller has to pay you. That's what you're asking them. If they don't do anything, then they do need to pay the 3%. That's what is being paid. And the negotiation then on your Form 36 would be if you're the seller and you come back and you refer to Form 21, page 1, item 17A and B, and shall read 17B shall read 3% or whatever it is. If they don't want to pay that and they come back and they say shall be 2% or 2.5%, whatever it is, then the buyer broker needs to make sure that their seller understands or their buyer understands they're paying the difference. So it's a little muddy, but it isn't. What are they offering? And there's another one in here where it's 0. And then B is what you're asking the seller to pay. If they're the same thing, easy peasy. That makes it really nice. So this one sentence down here that says blank 17B creates a contractual obligation on the seller to pay the identified compensation at closing. So that is where it connects it. That's what the seller has to pay. Whatever the amount is identified in 17B is the amount the seller has agreed to pay to the buyer brokerage, regardless of the amount identified in 17A. Anyway, so the only thing I can think of, if somebody thought it said 2%, but they're asking 3 or vice versa, but anyways, A is what's listed, what they've offered, and B is what we're asking them to pay. Okay, number 3 is very much the same thing. What if it is 0? And the answer is you put 0 in 17A, and then you put 17B, what you're requesting them to pay. Okay. Any questions? All right. This particular one, the buyer's lender gave notice of insufficient application. I'm not really sure if that means they didn't turn in anything. 5 days before closing was originally scheduled. The seller wants to give notice to perform to the buyer because 21 days has passed. Although in the purchase and sale agreement, Form 22A, A box was not checked. So they didn't have a complete 22A. Does the seller still have the right to send the notice to perform to that buyer? It's clear from the broker's question that A was not checked. It is unclear if B was checked. So we know that if neither A nor B was checked in the financing addendum, A stands. Does that make, do we need to look at a 22A?
Lead guy is always here on Tuesdays, so it's really loud. I don't know if you can hear that in the background.
Oh, the groundskeepers.
Yeah, let me pull up this 22A real quick, just because we have.
Just,
moved full
yeah,
up here,
that
and
would
I
give you some
wanna
time.
show- Yeah, I don't know why they do the leaf blowing on Tuesdays, because it seems very loud, and I don't know how loud it was on, but it's loud. So, because he comes right up to the window.
Yeah, you can hear it there, but I couldn't hear it here.
Oh, that's good, because it was super loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Two
oh,
A,
so, okay, so, yeah, for Yesenia and Blanca, so, yeah, this is, right here, it's saying if neither is selected, which I've never noticed that sense before, which is nice. So
yeah,
the notice to perform is essentially 21 days or whatever time frame is put in there after mutual. It's kind of a way for a seller to put pressure on the buyer and
well,
saying you
yes,
should have all of your financing figured out by now. And if not, like, waive this contingency or protection
right.
or back out of the deal because you're wasting my time, essentially. So,
Gotcha. So
yeah,
is it kind of like Yes Indeed where they gave this notice to perform to Justin's buyer and he had like 3 days, I think, to get back to them? Is
That's
it
correct.
okay?
I'm confused on, no, we're not 21 day. I think that's talking about for the reservation agreement. He had a certain amount of
Oh.
time to put in an offer, and then they said you have by this time, because 21 days, it hasn't happened yet. So
So
I
this,
think his is a little different situation.
yeah,
Oh.
this is when you fill out a contract and there's going to be formal financing.
Hmm.
It's not cash, it's not grandma's gift, it's not any of that. And you're actually going to a lender.
So,
In
yeah.
the financing contingency, let me just go over this. And I saw this not very long. There was a convention, no, it was FHA, down payment program, and other. those were all checked. And remember that only one of those is checked, and the other said Washington State Down Payment Assistance, FHA. Okay, so then that's the only one you need to check. You don't need to check FHA or down payment program.
I guess I'm confused by that because it talks here in addition to loans, plural. Because when you get the FHA loan and then you do the down payment assistance, isn't that a secondary loan? So we're kind of saying like, hey, the buyer's getting both of these.
You know what?
I mean, I actually don't know if it matters that
Yeah,
much.
I don't think it does, but
Yeah.
because what that did was it became an FHA loan. And
Mhm,
this then turns into an FHA loan addendum.
mhm.
So
Okay.
that is really interesting. When I went through the class, my recollection with Annie was that you only picked one. But it does say, in addition to the loans, the buyer shall make a down payment of, and it's either a dollar amount or a percentage.
Well, and it seems like the checking multiple ones is probably not gonna come into play. Well, actually, I'm confused because I have a situation with someone to where the lender is talking about the ability to do, like you have the conventional loan, but it's a high enough purchase price to where he was saying with, you know, the max loan amount, debt to income ratios and stuff, a way to be able to put in an offer for a higher price is he could do a HELOC at the same time on the new purchase, which I've never heard about. It seems weird. So it's almost like you have your conventional loan, you put this lump sum of a down payment. Now there's gonna be equity in the house, so he can do a HELOC at the same time to.
So yes, if you have another property that you're doing a HELOC
Hold on
on,
a second. Sorry, there's guys, I can't hear you. It's in front of the door. Okay, sorry. Cause that makes me think we would select both because he is doing a conventional and a HELOC at the same time.
okay,
Which
so
confused
if
me.
the HELOC is for like the down payment, if that's the same amount, that should be on a 22EF.
No, he's not doing that. So they have like 200,000 down for their conventional loan. And then
Okay,
they are not taking out a HELOC on any other real estate that they own. They're taking out a HELOC on the,
oh, simultaneously.
which seems, I didn't realize you could take out a HELOC on a house that's not yours yet. Like,
Well, I think what happens is, well, I don't know. See, I've never done one of those. So
it's,
that's
yeah, very new, but that makes me think you're kind of selecting
two.
both
Yeah.
of them, but that seems, it just seems backwards, like how you could even fill out a home equity like application on a house that's not yours yet, and it's gonna be in place to come up with more funds at closing. Like it's gonna be
All I
established.
can say is you have a good relationship with your lender.
And yeah, we ask all those questions.
We need to ask Michael about that because that is that's interesting. On a yes, the HELOC that I was talking about was on another property that they owned.
Which is
And
what I would think it's usually how it would happen, and yeah, that
yes,
would go on the evidence of funds.
I didn't realize you could do that on, but maybe you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him to get a second opinion, because it did seem a little, just a little strange, but
Right.
we can go back to this notice to perform thing. Now I kind of went, I
Yeah.
segued off of that.
Oh, and that's okay, because I mean, that's what this is for us to understand all of these. Now, and as everyone knows, you know, I'm learning right along with everybody else, and we do the best we can with the information that we have. So this particular question was that A or B was not selected, then we need to remember that then A is the automatic. And usually when I use B, it's when they're getting financing, but they don't have any issues. They know it's going to be there, but they want to make sure that the appraisal comes in and that they're not spending a lot of money on a home that's undervalued or is spending more money on the home than the home is valued. That is probably the only reason I've ever seen the B be checked. And then they're waiting for the appraisal.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you don't check either one of them, then A controls. And then let me see, going back to that, it says the answer, it is clear from the broker's question, A was not checked, but it's unclear if B was checked. If B was checked, then the seller cannot deliver a notice to perform, because section B controls. In that case, the buyer's financing contingency expires based on the timeline provided in section B. If A or B is not checked, then A is the default. And that's the only time. It's to let the seller know the buyer is getting a loan, but they want to, typically it will still be the A. But if they have such a large down payment, and let's say the home is $1 million and they have 500,000 down, and they're doing a loan for 500,000, and the guy is one of the partners at Microsoft, there's not going to be a financing issue as far as getting a loan. And so that's why if you just want to protect your buyer and make sure that the appraisal comes in at the value of the house. And then if it's close, then there's usually no issues. But if it's way under, well, then you have the opportunity to go back and do a low appraisal and negotiate that. Okay.
Yeah, Cindy, does that make sense? Cause yeah, Justin's thing, since they're early on the process, it's more just like, hey, you need to give us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're cutting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. I don't know if you're cutting out.
Distance thing is like different because if you,
Yeah, cause it's just more, cause I know with these deals, we put 21 on there and we're not at that time frame yet. So I think this was for his second, or the person that was gonna put in an offer. So it's more like, hey, you put in a reservation, we're giving you till this date to execute putting in your offer. And there was also a feasibility period on that. So maybe that was coming up for like some decision to be figured out, I think is more what was happening on his stuff.
gotcha.
Okay, so this last one is the buyer, or pardon me, the seller is a retired attorney. Oh my God, I'm sorry in advance. And as they went through the listing agreement, there is a provision in there where you recommend that they contact their insurance company if the house is going to be vacant, to make sure their insurance covers the home. How horrible if you move out, take everything out, and your insurance doesn't cover it if you're having real estate companies come in and show the home and etc. So that's always one of the things, that if the home is vacant, that you want to advise them to make sure that they check with their insurance company to make sure that that vacant home has adequate coverage. Okay, so we are ready to list and go live. They're upset about paragraph 10, the vacancy clause that's noted there. If the property is to be vacant during all or part of the listing term, the seller is advised to request a vacancy clause to be added to the insurance policy. She had texted me over a few questions about the listing agreement. I responded them. All of them were fine except this clause. I responded that this is a suggestion, a disclosure to talk to the insurance carrier. They called their insurance company and they tried to cancel them due to the fact that they were moving out and listing it. That sent off a shock wave to them. I got blamed. My response to that clause when she originally asked was that it was a suggestion, a disclosure, not a requirement. They said to take it out. Well, of course, she couldn't. Can you please send me a true interpretation of that vacancy clause? And noted that what the purpose of it is. Okay, so the answer, broker's stated description of the listing agreement is accurate. Seller is advised only to consult their insurance company to determine exactly what this seller discovered. When property is vacant, there may be problems with coverage should insurance be needed. Seller's reaction of anger toward the broker is misplaced. Seller may want to be angry at the seller's insurance company, and more appropriately, seller should use this knowledge of the issue to seek adequate insurance for the property while it's vacant. This seller's reaction of anger toward the broker indicates something about the seller. I love that. It is not an indication that listing broker or Northwest MLS did anything wrong. Broker should consult broker's DB and consider how the broker and the firm want to move forward. So any of these forms that we recommend that they do, or because that is not our area of expertise, but we do know that sometimes if anything happens to a house and they're vacant and the people have moved, they don't know their own insurance policy. And so they just need to call. I don't know of an insurance company that isn't happy to put a rider on an insurance policy. You know, it's more money for them. So just be aware that when you do this, they may come back and be very angry about it. And so anyways, I just thought that was an interesting one. I know that whenever I had listings, property houses where they were going to be vacant, you know, I encouraged them. They went to their insurance company and they said, thank you so much. There's an additional rider that we can put on this to cover it, to make sure that the house is insured to the, you know, to the full extent. Okay. Any questions? Did we get them all?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
Yep.
We did. That's it. Unless there's any questions, that's all I have for you today.
No questions for me.
All right.
All right.
What was that last thing you said, Marcia? About you don't know about an insurance provider that doesn't do what?
That is not willing for you to spend more money to put a rider on an
Yes.
insurance policy.
Gotcha. Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't catch it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Thank you.
being snarky. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, you guys have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Ashley, for doing that for me.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.